If nobody has told you yet today, you are capable of more than what you think you are. Now, please don't dismiss me right away as somebody who's out there saying you can go do anything and everything you want to do. I'm not saying that. There probably are a lot of things that you can't do. I know there's a lot of things I can't do, but I had something happen today that I wanted to share with you that hopefully will encourage you that if there's something you're facing and you feel like you just can't do it, don't limit yourself just because you think you aren't capable. Be willing to take a risk and try something difficult outside of your comfort zone because you just might surprise yourself. As you may or may not know, I came out of the white collar industry to a blue collar industry, and I'm working on diesel trucks right now. And if you don't know, no, I did not come with an overabundance of skills. I actually came with a very underwhelming skill set. But nonetheless, this team took me on, and I have been doing it for the past 7 weeks. Well, today, my supervisor's dad brought his truck in with over 3 million miles. You heard me correctly, 3 million. I'm actually speaking conservatively. I think it might be 4 million, but I don't want to over-exaggerate for the sake of this story. Nonetheless, you can tell, he's been on the road a while. He's seen a lot of guys coming in and out of the shop, and his son knows everything there is to know about his truck. Because I'm so new, I typically end up following him around if there's nothing for me to do, and I just watch him work because I love to ask questions. He's very helpful in answering the questions, and ultimately, I get to see a lot of really, really neat stuff. Well, today, he was starting a welding job on his dad's truck. I've been able to work with a torch to remove a wheel from a truck, and that was really exciting. So as soon as I saw the opportunity to see some welding, I was in. It was a slower day today, so I got to stand around and watch him working quite a bit. And this guy's dad, noticing that I was just standing there, turned to his son and said, "What's wrong with this guy? Is he broken?" Now, this is typical behavior for a group of men working in a shop. Didn't see it a whole lot in the white collar industry because it's just not tolerated. But men cut each other down. They like to poke and prod and make somebody else feel inferior. It's basically like the survival of the fittest. You really do have to get thick skin if you're going to stick around, so you weed out those who just aren't tough enough. That's never really been my style, but I do understand that that is a part of many men's journey, is trying to measure up so that you can either, one, prove everybody wrong, or two, just not care what anybody thinks and you can still keep going and doing what you're going to do. Thankfully, my supervisor stood up for me because he knows that I'm new, but he said, no, he's fine. Just give him some tires. He didn't have anything else to do right now, but he's fine. Right after he said I'm fine, he started moving his torch and asked me to move one of the tanks over to the truck so he could work on it. And as I'm trying to maneuver this tank, this guy is just looking at me like, oh, yeah, sure, he's fine. Because if you've never tried moving a welding tank before, it's not exactly the most easy thing to do, especially gracefully when somebody is sitting there scrutinizing what you're doing. Wouldn't you know, as soon as I'm done clumsily moving this thing to where it needed to be, a truck came in that needed a headlight. Now, to show you just how non-mechanical I am, I don't even like to change the headlights in my car. I've done it a handful of times. I struggle with my confidence and I feel like I'm going to mess something up or break something, and then I'm not going to be able to get it back together, and it's going to cost me way more money to go get it done because I didn't know what I was doing. So my supervisor sends me out there and says, "You can handle this, it's totally fine." I walk out of the truck with the driver and he opens up the hood and we look at it. He says, "It's not just the bulb that's the problem." He said, "There's a short in this switch right here. Whenever they removed the bulb, they actually pulled the housing out whenever they removed the bulb the last time. So there was a short and that attachment needed to be replaced." I come back in and I tell my supervisor, sure, that I'm not going to have to do this task because it's way outside what I'm capable of doing. My supervisor saw things differently. He took me back to the back, grabbed the parts, said, "Yeah, you just strip this wire here and then you just clamp it in and then you're going to heat it up and put it back together and you'll be fine." He goes, "Do you have wire cutters or wire strippers or anything to heat it up with?" No, I don't. I do not have any of those things. He hands me his tools and a little butane canister, and he said, "Have at it." I walk back out of the truck, and the driver looks at me confident that I'm going to be able to take care of this thing. And the whole time I'm thinking, I hope I don't cut this cable too short, and then we have to rerun wire. Oh, it would be an absolute nightmare. So after cutting the wire, stripping it, attaching the connector, blow torching the thing together, the moment of truth came, and the truck driver turned the lights on, and they worked. I had to hold in my little celebration until I got back into the office, and the driver had already taken off, but I was like, holy crap, I did it! I came back out of the shop, and my supervisor was working on his dad's truck still, and I said, "Well, I got it. Lights are on and he's good to go." He said, "Excellent. You want to try some welding?" I said, "Oh yeah, I do. Let me have it." The best part was that was exactly the moment that the guy's dad came around the corner and he looked in to see his son handing me, the new guy who he thought was broken, the torch to weld on his truck. If you're watching and you weld, you know that it probably did not go well, and I was welding with aluminum, so you know it did not go well. It was so ugly, but I did some of it, enough to say, I gotta try this again later. So I came home today having done way more than I thought I ever possibly could. And believe it or not, the welding piece was not the thing that I was most concerned about. It was the simple changing of the headlight. I knew I'd be terrible at welding, and I was, but it was great, and I loved trying it. I was not confident that I was gonna be able to do that headlight. I thought for sure somebody was gonna have to come in, clean up my mess, but they didn't. I was able to do more than I thought I could. I really believe I was able to for two reasons. One, I was forced into a situation where I had to do it. But two, I had somebody who believed in me. He may not have said, yeah, I think you're gonna be able to do this and coach me through anything. He simply just said, go do it. You can do it. If you're doubting yourself, if you feel like there's nobody around you who's encouraging you, if you find yourself like I did, where I had my supervisor's dad scrutinizing me to his son, my supervisor, that could be a really defeating place to be. And I want to let you know that you're not alone in feeling that scrutiny from others around you, even those who you don't know. But I hope there are people in your life who are encouraging you. It may not be the biggest pep talk you've ever had, but it may just be something simple like my supervisor said, go ahead and do it. You can do it. And if you don't have anybody else, let me be one of those voices that says, I believe that you can do more than you think you can. You are way more capable than you could even possibly imagine. You may be holding yourself back because you're scared of failing. It's okay. It's okay to fail. When you fail and remain, there's a lesson to be gained. Learn from it. Grow from it. Do more, but stop allowing yourself to sit back because you're scared of not being able to do it or scared that you don't have what it takes. Just try. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you appreciated the story of my welding and headlight adventure. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing. If you like the content, give me a thumbs up, put something down in the comments section, share it on social media, and I will see you next time when we can share a cigar and change the world.